First of all, I'd like to say thank you to come and have a drink, Drinks with Rob, and I am going to hear about your story. I already know a lot. I'm a big fan. And then craft a cocktail built around your story. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
You bet. I'm enjoying this like more than I can even explain.
I talked to my wife because I was doing, some reading too, because I've always loved your product and I love the TV show. But one of the first things that jumped out at me was you did your first marathon at 15, I believe.
That's correct. Yeah, 15 years old.
What drives a person that early to know that that's what they want to do?
I don't know. You'd have to go and understand where I was at the time. This was a difficult part of the state, and it was difficult conditions for farmers. And I knew that, the farming option for me wasn't going to really pan out because that generation was dying out, and that I needed to have a way out of my hometown. And I knew it was sports, and I couldn't play football, and I was too short, and I just wasn't talented at any sport. But I know that I can work harder than anyone else. So I picked distance running. And I started running 100 miles a week at about 12, 13 years old, and I just never stopped. And it ended up getting me a scholarship for the University of Washington, and that's where my life began.
Wow, that's incredible. Amazing to hear somebody with such great drive and know it that early. That's just fantastic. How did you, and jumping forward, how did you find this love of coffee? Because I was just bragging about it, but my whole team loves your coffee so much they crush it. Now we know from from the TV series, everybody loves, so I'm gonna ask you on that, but how did you discover this love of coffee?
I don't know. I think that initially coffee found me. So you imagine you got a farm boy who ends up in a big city, right, in Seattle. And I wasn't qualified to do anything that normal students would do. I couldn't work in a restaurant. I'd never been to a restaurant. We didn't have restaurants. I couldn't work in a department store or in a mall. I'd never been in one, but I knew farm work. And I stumbled on a warehouse, and I looked inside, and they had all these grain sacks. And there were a couple guys my age that were humping grain sacks. And so I asked for a gig, and of course they said no. And that, like a farm boy, we just kept going back day after day until someone didn't show up, and I got the gig. The company's name was Starbucks. They had 3 cafes at the time, and this was their roasting warehouse. So I drug bags around for Starbucks as my start. And I understood how it worked. It was a farm good, and there was machines, and there was like welding, and there was burners. And I went, I get this. And I was 19, and I stuck it out. And I've been in it ever since.
Wow, that's really incredible to have that love and to kind of fall. I think that for myself is in the beverage and working with all these great culinary chefs is to find out that, an accidental profession is a wonderful profession, especially when you fall in love with it.
Yeah, and this was 1982, and I'm from Scottish stock, and Scottish, they tend to believe that everyone has a calling. My grandpa believed in that, and it was like, that was put into my head at a very young age. And so when I found coffee, I thought, could this be my calling? And it turned out to be my calling. That's what, because I just never left. And then I've seen the entire world, and I've done amazing things just thanks to this little innocent seed.
That's incredible. I'm going to take you back to sports, if you don't mind, or crazy sports. And I was also reading with my wife, and we found out that you were the first American was it cross Antarctica?
Yeah, solo and by foot. That's right, yeah.
Wow. Tell me about that. That is incredible.
Well, it was considered the last big thing to conquer, in terms of extreme endurance. You get dropped with 275 pounds of food and fuel and a sled and a harness, and you're just left on the edge of Antarctica, and you have 700 nautical miles to go to the South Pole. Between you and the South Pole is 14,000 feet of elevation and some of the worst territory on Earth. And the whole idea is to arrive there before you die. And I thought it could be done solo, which was a big deal. And then I thought you could do it in less than 40 days. And I did it alone in 39 days, 7 hours, and 49 minutes. Just barely making it.
Wow.
I was a mess. I lost 60 pounds of body weight. My face was completely frostbit, my hands, my lungs, my feet, and I was just
Wow.
like a shadow of my former self. But you can do it. It's just you got to work 14 hours a day at it.
Yeah. What was it that drove you to try to do that? I mean, that is just absolutely incredible and amazing story. But what was the drive behind that?
I mean, I guess there were a couple things. One, I think that you should live your life where you're trying to be more like your heroes. And
Mm.
when you see someone who's inspirational, then you should try to be that way too. That the world is your father. And I had heroes that did things like this that I wanted to emulate. The number two is that I'm built in a way that if I get an idea, or it turns into a dream, and that dream then becomes an ambition, and it won't leave me alone until
Right.
I'm done with it. It's like it's
Wow.
being haunted by an idea. And Antarctica haunted me, and I needed to kill it. I needed to get it out of my system, and there's only one way to do that, and that was to do it.
Oh my gosh, it's to be haunted by a dream. That is
Yeah.
beautiful. That is such a great way of putting it. That's incredible. If you don't mind, I'm going to talk a little bit about your TV success, because that was phenomenal with Travel Channel.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to ask you a couple cocktail questions so I can start to think of exactly what to build for you.
Okay.
So with Travel Channel, when did you start out? I know you did a couple really successful seasons.
Yeah. Well, it started in a strange way. I had no intention of becoming, a TV personality. When I crossed Antarctica, I took a camera because I wanted to be able to share, like a journal or something with my wife. My wife was sacrificing a lot, letting me risk my life this way. So I took a roll-up solar panel and these little cameras, and I recorded a journal, because you can't write. I mean, it's 50, 60 below, and you can't write anything, but I could speak into a camera. And when I finished, I took all the the little cassettes or whatever they were, those little drives, and I gave them to her, and her friends turned it into a documentary film that won the LA Film Festival, and then National Geographic bought it, and it went global. It went crazy. And then suddenly everybody wanted me to go and be the next Bear Grylls, and I didn't want to do that. I have a day job, right? I just
Yeah.
I have with them, right? So they said, hey,
Yeah.
how about if we just grab a couple camera guys and they follow you on your next trip? And I happened to be going to Haiti, and I said, okay, we would do that. And that became what they call a pilot, right? So I had no idea what that was. And the next thing I know, I'm doing 3 years of TV. And I liked it because
Wow.
I could show people that world, the other side
Yeah.
of my life. And it was
Yeah.
such an exhilarating experience. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's incredible. So there's a great celebration because so many people are dying to jump into that field where that field kind of sought you and celebrated what you're so wonderful at.
Yeah, it was.
That's incredible. And
It could stay innocent. It just, first because I'm in so isolated places that, the machine of TV couldn't go, right? So it was like, I had my main camera guy, Hollywood, and then another guy and me, and we would just go and do, right? And so it was really unconnected to, a lot of the more structured TV that I liked it. It was stressful for everyone else, thinking, is he going to bring anything back that we can put on the air? Or, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, absolutely.
So it was quite interesting. It was an adventure, definitely.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, you're adventure. So we're going to try to I'm going to try to create an adventure in a glass, if you will.
Ooh.
If I were to start with a spirit, do you have a favorite spirit? Vodka, gin, rum, tequila, bourbon?
Yeah, I gotta say, man, I'm a down and dirty bourbon boy. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be.
Bourbon boy.
Yeah, it's kind of respects the Scottish roots, but also it has its feet on our soil. I'm
Yeah,
Scottish American.
absolutely.
It's kind of like both those worlds in one. So I really like it.
Yeah.
It's a working man's drink if it's if it's looked at correctly.
Absolutely. And then with that, I love your coffee, and so does my team. Um, I'd love to use one of your coffees in there. Why, and just jumping to yours, why is it so fresh? What is the design of this can that makes it so incredible?
Yeah, well, so the idea and all the patents and of that is I use true espresso and clean milk right out of the cow. It's put in the can the same day. So I mean the
Wow.
dairy and the factory are just, you could throw a draft latte and hit a cow. I mean that's where like you. I mean fresh ingredients are key.
Yeah,
That's you can't.
absolutely.
And then what I do is there, if you flip the can over, you'll see that there's a shield, and behind that shield is a valve. And I inject into that valve nitrous oxide. The nitrous oxide,
Oh,
it
wow.
stays in its liquid form and it hibernates in the fat molecules of the milk and stays a liquid as long as it's under pressure. And the moment you open it, that liquid nitrous oxide becomes bubbles. So it puffs up and becomes that foamed fat texture that, coffee like lattes and cappuccinos are known for.
That's incredible. What are the, because there's so many great things, and I want to get on to one more question. But as far as your cocktail in a glass, would you be thinking of as a martini, a rocks, a tall Collins? What would you feel like your
Well, see, here's
adventure would be?
if I were home alone and making it, I would rely on everything that I know, right? But I've been given this
Yeah.
opportunity for you to make a cocktail that I almost don't
Uh-huh.
want to bias you because I want to see where you go, right? I
I love it. Yeah.
love things. I love exaggerated flavors. I love
Yeah.
I love mouthfeel is really important. I love textures. Um,
Right.
I'm not driven towards sweet, but I appreciate the tone of
Yeah.
it, right? Like when I drink
Yeah.
bourbons, I can almost taste that kind of like caramel scotch, like
Yeah.
flavors behind it. I like those, but not overly pronounced. And
Right.
I like new things.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to have some fun with that. I can't wait to show you what I come up with. Um, Paying it or giving back, especially with Haiti and all, has been so important. And as I'm looking at your stuff, you do so much give back. Is that a huge pillar of you, of your company? How do you work that way? Because it's all over everything you do.
Yeah, I see. The way I look at it is simple. When I formed the company, I realized that I was making a person. If you listen to the Supreme Court, they say you're creating an entity, right? You're creating a human being. And if you're going to bother to make a human being like a father, you want to make a decent one. Someone that person should be a decent human being. And so that's all I'm doing. I'm exercising the decency of this person. My grandfather was, like I said, a Scotsman, and he shoveled his neighbor's, walk until he passed because he was being a decent neighbor. He didn't say he was giving back to the community. He was just exercising his decency. And so that's just important to me. I feel like it's the whole picture. Without it, you only have this two-dimensional thing called a company. So
Yeah. Yeah.
when people say I'm a philanthropist or I'm charitable, I tend to go, no, you're missing the point. I'm just being Scottish, just being decent. That's all I'm doing, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, I was in Scotland recently before all this shenanigans started, and it reminded me of the Michael Myers quote that all Scottish cuisine was started on a dare. So.
That is the truth.
But I had so much fun. It was incredible. I loved it. The people were just awesome. The Edinburgh was incredible. Oh God, it was beautiful. Just beautiful.
People are so key. They are. I mean, I have my children are from Ethiopia, and we go to Scotland a lot, and a lot of the reasons is because Scottish people tend to accept people. It doesn't matter that you're mixed family. They don't care. You see through it. You see more mixed families in Scotland than you do anywhere else. It's just people are people, and decency is decency. And like Edinburgh has beautiful arts and performing arts and great pubs. And okay, the haggis and the food sometimes is pretty rough. I gotta agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it has that character of just being an open-hearted country, and I
Beautiful.
like to keep that in our roots.
Yeah, such beautiful people and just open and loving and receptive. One, just to kind of close us up here with one big question is, people look out and they Google you a lot and they want to find out a lot. What would you tell people who Google you, but they wouldn't be able to find it on Google? What is something, a secret about you, whether it's your success or your give back? It's a last one, but just give it a
Oh,
thought.
jeez.
I'll have this coffee while you think.
The thing about Todd that's not out there. Oh, yeah. Okay, there's this one that my kids make fun of a lot, right? So, I mean, I had malaria a couple times. I've crossed Death Valley on foot, and I've been shot at, I've been kidnapped, like, and there's been a lot of things. But I have this weird fear, and it's just like, it's a fear I have. I hate rats. Like, I have a deep-seated fear. Like, if I could sleep I woke up once with 2 puff adders in my sleeping bag while sleeping on a dried bed in Zambia, right? And I slowly got out. No. They could kill me. I've seen, it would have been a rat 15 feet away. I would have screamed like a little girl. I just don't know what it is. It's something in my DNA that is, so that's my Achilles heel. Like, even little mouse, like a mouse, like, no way, I can't take it. There's just something in my DNA that fears these animals. Just, like, makes no sense.
Wow.
There was one living barbecue, and I just stopped barbecuing for like 2 months until it moved out. Because I couldn't cope with it. No barbecue.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is incredible. Well, I think I have all I need. I am so excited to build this wonderful cocktail. You have such an incredible life and it's such an inspiration, especially, I know you said it's creating a good human being. I absolutely adore that, but it's just amazing to watch how you give back and how you live your life and also how fearless you are. So, except for the rats. Except for the rats. Well, I am going to send you this cocktail. We love your product and we love all your coffee and we love all you're doing. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Wow, what an incredible conversation Todd and I just had. I want to make a cocktail that exemplifies his sort of daredevil personality. We're going to do a little bit of bourbon and a little bit of his great, great coffee. If you want to learn how to become your own favorite bartender, come join me at Rob Floyd University. It was incredible to talk to Todd here and working with a great bourbon and incredible coffee and something unexpected, a zested chocolate, dark chocolate across the top. I think it elevates this cocktail. So join me next episode on Drinks with Rob for Emmy nominations. It's going to be a great time. Sip boldly.